I had a little boy 5 years ago and tried breastfeeding. I was very apprehensive, and in the end, it was just too painful and I didn't persevere. In the end, I really regretted that. And my friends that had babies at the same time who had persevered had such lovely stories, and they talked about the perks, like the lovely bond and the fact that it was free. And when I fell pregnant, I was really determined to speak to as many of my friends as I could and do as much research of my own on breastfeeding just to see if I was able to build some confidence beforehand. So I did some online courses and some in-person courses at our local Healthy Family venue. They were really helpful. I would recommend them to anybody. They gave a sense of community and that I wasn't on my own. They made it feel safe. I didn't feel silly to ask questions. And we all just wanted to nourish our babies. Because of the work I'd done, it was much more of a positive experience this time round. And I actually felt so much pride. I felt that breastfeeding gives you a sense of pride in your body and your baby as you are nourishing your baby with your body. I had lots of support. I'm really lucky. Building confidence to put her in positions that will work better for us. Position is crucial, where she puts her mouth, the way her nipples are positioned, etc. The ones who are considering starting breastfeeding, what I will say to you is do your research, but don't pressure yourself. A fed baby is a happy baby. And for those who are thinking of giving up, who may already be, please don't. Persevere. It's not a walk in the park. It's definitely a journey, but just a happy and proud journey. I can't tell you how happy and proud I am.
I've got two children. My breastfeeding with both has been very different. My first was born in 2019. I was in hospital for 4 to 5 days after having him. I'd had gestational diabetes, so it was very important for him to be okay and for him to feed, for his blood sugars to be stable. It wasn't until I'd caught up with the initial exhaustion from the birth that I was able to advocate for myself and was insistent that I wanted to breastfeed and that I didn't want to use the formula. There was a midwife at that point who said, let's try to express you. And she showed me how to hand express. She brought me one of the hospital pumps so that I was able to pump the milk and give him that instead of the formula. And she also helped me with the baby's latch. At the time, I had an SSBC family mentor, and I did get a breastfeeding specialist who came to see me, and she was a great help. She gave me adjustments so that he could latch. He was small and tired, and he would fall asleep a lot whilst feeding. She explained about waking him up and making him feed for a certain amount of time. A few of my friends were currently or had previously breastfed their children, and they pointed me to an online breastfeeding support group. Anytime I had any questions, like, is my baby too hungry? Are they getting enough? All of this came from the Facebook group where other people were posting and asking similar questions. That is where I learned to be confident in what I was doing. With my second, in the beginning, he fed constantly. It felt like 24/7. And I was worried that maybe he wasn't getting enough, that he was just putting his order in. You can produce what they need. You just need to keep going. And as long as your baby's doing lots of wet and dirty nappies, that's what you should go on. And anytime you're in contact with professionals, just make sure that you ask them to watch you breastfeeding and observe your latch. My motto when I was breastfeeding my first was, don't give up on a bad day. It was fine if I didn't want to breastfeed anymore, but I had to make that decision on a good day and not a bad day. So I actually fed my son for 14 months. I think is a great achievement, and I hope to be able to do the same for my second.
I think at times it was difficult for my husband, as our son wouldn't take a bottle of express breast milk until he was much older. And I think he would have liked to have been more involved in feeding and being able to support with night times a bit more. When we got pregnant with our daughter, who's now 4 weeks old, having breastfed my son, I knew we really wanted to do that again. So we're 4 weeks in and she's feeding really well. So far, she seems to feed a lot more, but she will also take a bottle of expressed milk, which is great and shows that no two babies are the same. I think when it comes to breastfeeding, it's really about you and your baby both working together. So, as a mum alone, there's only so much that you can do. And I think in general, it's really helpful to get support from people who have had a shared experience. I would say if you're on the fence with breastfeeding, perhaps just give it a try. It can be difficult and tiring and feel like it puts a lot of pressure on you, but it's also such a lovely thing. And to experience that connection and bonding between yourself and your child and the feeling of being able to calm them just with your own body, I think can really make the difficult days or nights feel really worthwhile.